أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي Alhamdulillah wa shukr. Inshallah, today we are going to start the sessions on logic and mantiq. And inshallah, in today's session, we will address the following questions. Number one, what is the origin of the word mantiq? Mantiq is what it's called in Arabic, and in English we say logic. So inshallah we will be using a logic and mantiq, both of the words. Especially in the beginning we may say logic a lot, but in later we have to use the original word that is in Arabic, mantiq. And what is the meaning of its original word? Where does it derive from, and what's the meaning of its origin? Number two, we will discuss who is the founder of this discipline. When was this discipline founded, and who is its founder? Is it before Islam or is it after Islam? Number three, why we should know the definition, subject matter, and objective of any discipline. First of all, we'll talk about the definition, subject matter, and objective of any discipline, any field of study. Why we should know these three basic things before we start a discipline, before we start studying a field of study. If we want to jump into a discipline, we want to start studying, learning a discipline, first we have to know its definition, and then its subject matter, and then its objective. This is very important. So after knowing that why it's important to know the definition, subject matter, and objective of a discipline, we will jump to the question, what is the definition of logic? What is the definition of mantiq? Number five, what is the subject matter of logic? What is the subject matter of mantiq? Number six, what is the objective of logic? Number seven, why is this discipline, why is this field of study, that is mantiq, called the foundation of all the disciplines? Khadimul ulum. Why it's called the foundation of all the fields of study. Inshallah, we will try to address these questions today. So let's quickly jump to the first question, and that is, what is the origin of the word mantiq? Mantiq is derived from nutq, the word nutq. Nataqa yantiqu nutqan. So nutq is the masdar from which mantiq is derived, which means speech. So nutq means speech, all right? And mantiq is masdar mimi of nutq. Now, nutq is of two kinds. Nutq is of two types. Number one, outward. Nutq means what we said? Speech. Number one is outward speech. Number two is inward speech. Outward speech is the one whose instrument is tongue. So outward speech, the speech through which we talk, the faculty of tongue through which we talk. So the instrument is tongue. So through the faculty of tongue, we talk, we speak, and that's why it is the outward speech. And then there is the inward speech, which cannot be seen, but its asar, its effects can be seen. And that is its instrument is the rational faculty. So when we say nutq, do we mean outward speech or do we mean inward speech here? Because we said nutq is of two kinds. What kind of nutq we mean in mantiq? Mantiq is derived from the first kind, which is the outward speech, or the second kind, which is the inward speech. And the instrument of the inward speech is what? The rational faculty, the reasoning, the rationale, the mind. It's obviously the second kind. That's what we deal with in Mantiq, not the first kind, all right? Okay. Now comes the question that who is the founder of this discipline that is in front of us that we are studying right now? It is said that Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, is the one who arranged the discipline of logic. So the discipline of logic, which is in front of us, the way it is arranged right now, the arrangement of logic, which is in front of us, is from the Greek philosopher Aristotle. That means that this discipline was there before Islam, because Aristotle was there before Islam. Number two, it was even before Aristotle this discipline existed, but it was Aristotle who arranged it, organized it, and gave its shape, which is right now the shape or the manner in which we learn right now. This was given by the Aristotle. Now comes the question that if this discipline was organized, was arranged by a Greek philosopher, why do we study it? Why is it taught in hawzas? Why is it taught in Islamic madrasas? If it's a discipline that is created according to some, just arranged by the Greek philosophers who had nothing to do with Islam, who had nothing to do with religion, why is it taught in the hawzas, and why we have to study it? Why it's very important that we study it, and why is it called the foundation of all the disciplines? Khadimul ulum, inshallah. This question we will address at the end. But why is it important to learn if it's something that is coming from Greeks? So some scholars say we have to take everything from Islam, from religion. They say we should not take anything outside of religion. That means from Quran and from Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. We take everything from them, and we should not take anything that is beyond Quran and Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. But this comes some scholars and say, no, you don't have to take everything from Quran and from Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. If there is a discipline, if there is some knowledge, if there is some field of study that does not contradict with the foundations, with the basics of religion, then there is no issue. But yeah, if there is a contradiction, if there is a contradiction, or if it goes against the foundations of the religion, then there is an issue. Yeah, but if there is no contradiction, then there is not issue. And mantiq, the discipline of mantiq, the discipline of logic, has no contradiction with the basics and the foundations of religion. That's why we, or most of the scholars, they say that we should study it, and it's something that has to be studied in order to think right. Inshallah, we will address this why thing in a bit. All right. Before we come and address the question that what is the definition, what is the subject matter, and what is the objective of mantiq, of logic, first we have to know why we should know the definition, why we should know the subject matter, why we should know the objective of a discipline. First of all, we should know any discipline we're talking about. Right now, it's generally we are saying that we should know the definition, subject matter, and objective of any discipline. First of all, we should know the definition of any discipline, because without knowing the definition, it would be incorrect to study that discipline. So, for example, if you don't know the definition of a discipline and you go and say that I want to study it, I want to go and have classes of this discipline. It's wrong. It's incorrect. It's something that is beyond the ethics or the rules. Why? Because how can you ask for something that is unknown to you, that is absolute unknown for you, that is majhul al-mutlaq for you? So if you don't know about something, what is this? How can you ask for it? How can you say that you want to study it? You want to take this course? I'll give you an example. 100 years back or 78 years back, did people used to go to markets and ask that we need a cell phone, we need a laptop, we need a tablet? Did people actually go and ask for these things? No, because they didn't know these things. Because they didn't know these things, that's why they didn't ask for it. Now we are asking for it. We go to market, we ask for the latest model, we ask for the latest gadgets. Why? Because we know there is something of this kind that exists. When you know what is the thing, then we can ask for it. So if we don't know what is this thing, how can you ask for it? Maybe if you're asking for it and you think you know, this is not possible. You have to know what exactly this is, what exactly this thing is, then you can ask for it. So that's why first you have to know what is the definition of a discipline. What is this discipline? What is it that you are going to study? And then if you get into the discipline, if you get into the topics of discipline, if you get into the subject matters of the discipline, then it's fine. It's not incorrect. It's not wrong. It's not an error. The second thing we said, that it's obligatory to know the subject matter of a discipline, of any discipline, is because without knowing it, it would be an intermix of different disciplines. Because subject matter means what? That all of the topics of that discipline go back to that subject matter. So if, for example, the subject matter of, let's say, ilm al-nahav is kalima, the discipline of syntax. Ilm al-nahav, I'm sure you guys know what's nahav. In Arabic, there is nahav and there is sarf. So the discipline of syntax and or discipline of semantics. So discipline of syntax, ilm al-nahav, the topic, the subject matter of ilm al-nahav is what? It is kalima. It's a word. So we or sentence. So every topic of nahav right now goes back to kalima. We study fa'il in ilm al-nahav. We study maf'ul in ilm al-nahav. We study mubtada in ilm al-nahav. We study khabar in ilm al-nahav. All of this is kalima or no? Or it's jumla khabariya, jumla insha'iyya. These are the details. If you know Arabic, then you know. If you don't, then yeah, it's something that is maybe you're not something with which you're not familiar. But the thing that we are trying to say over here is that if you know the subject matter, then you know that all of the topics of this discipline goes back to that subject matter. So that's why we have to know the subject matter. But if we don't know the subject matter, then there would be an intermix of different disciplines, because sometimes it is possible that you would discuss other disciplines in this discipline because you don't know what is the subject matter. If you know that this is the subject matter, and then all of the topics would go back to it. If there's a topic that does not go back to it, or that is beyond the parameters of the subject matter, we know this is not something that should be taught or learned in this discipline. All right. The third thing we should know is the objective of a discipline, and that is that if we don't know the objective, then there is no passion. There would be no passion. So, in order to have passion in studying the discipline or a field of study or any knowledge, we have to know its objective, why we are studying it. What is the purpose of studying this discipline? What is the goal and objectives we are going to gain after studying this discipline? Inshallah, these three questions are clear. Now we come to our main topic, and that is, what is the definition, what is the subject matter and objective of mantiq? Up until now, what we were doing, we were trying to know what is the definition, why is it important to know the definition, subject matter and objective of any discipline. First of all, the definition of mantiq is that it is a rule-based instrument, the application of which keeps the mind from making the mistake in reasoning. So we will try to address word by word, inshallah, then we will move to the next point. First of all, the first word in this definition is a rule-based. So mantiq is a discipline in which we discuss the rulings, not the specifics. We discuss the generals, not the specifics. So for example, what is a ruling? What is a rule-based? Anything that can be applied to more than one. All right. So if there is a law, there is a ruling which could be applied to more than one, this is something that has to do with mantiq. Could be something that has to do with mantiq. If it's something that is specific, for example, Zaid is standing, it's something that is specific, has to do with one person. For example, this book is here, it has to do with one book. So this is not something that we will discuss in mantiq. Okay? Because it's not a ruling, but because it's not something that can be applied to more than one. Number two, it's an instrument. By instrument, we mean that there are two kinds of knowledge or disciplines. One is the instrument-based discipline, and the other is objective-based discipline. Objective-based discipline is the kind of discipline in which we study that discipline in order to learn the specifications of that discipline or the laws of that discipline. And the purpose of learning that discipline is to learn the teachings of that discipline itself. So when we learn about aqa'id, our purpose is to know the teachings of our belief. The purpose is to know the laws in the discipline of doctrine, discipline of theology, discipline of belief and faith. This is the main purpose. But when we learn, for example, the discipline of mathematics, the purpose of learning mathematics is not to learn mathematics for itself, but to learn it in order to apply it to other disciplines. Yeah. So ilmul mantiq, the discipline of mantiq, is also a discipline which is instrument-based discipline and not the objective-based discipline. So when we learn about ahkam, Islamic laws, when we learn Quran, or the disciplines of Quran, ulum al-Quran or tafsir al-Quran, all of those things, ahadith, the reason to learn about these disciplines is to know its own specifications, not to use it for something else. Yes, we can use it, But the reason is not this. The objective is not this. Goal is not this. We want to know it for its own laws. But when we study a discipline like mantiq, a discipline like logic, the reason is to apply it to other disciplines. That's why it's an instrument-based discipline or knowledge. Because through mantiq, through logic, we will have a help of understanding other disciplines. It helps us in understanding the applications of other disciplines. All right. So the second word in it is instrument, and by instrument we mean the instrument-based knowledge and not the objective-based discipline. Yes, Noor.
Is it okay, sir? Can I ask now?
Yeah.
In between, or you want the questions to again?
No, it's okay. You can ask.
Sir, can you just briefly explain in Urdu as well? Like, that instrument-based, like rule-based instrument, the applications and all that. Objective, little Urdu as well.
Okay.
It will make it easier to understand.
All right. I'll have to think, but inshallah, I'll try.
Okay. Okay, never mind.
You want
Whenever.
from the
Thank
beginning?
you.
A summary from the
No,
beginning?
no. Only this page definition.
Okay. All right.
I will do from here only. If anybody else wants to know, then they can always ask. But this page, I'm finding it a bit, like challenging.
Got it.
So if it is an Urdu explanation, I think that will be easier.
ٹھیک ہے. تو بیسیکلی ہم یہاں یہ کہنا چاہ رہے ہیں کہ منطق کی تعریف یہ ہے کہ منطق وہ آلہ قانونیہ ہے. انسٹرومنٹ سے مراد کیا ہے؟ آلہ. اور رول بیس سے مراد یہ ہے کہ قانونی. وہ آلہ قانونی ہے. ٹھیک ہے، یہاں یہ مراد ہے. آلہ سے مراد کیا ہے کہ علوم ہمارے پاس دو قسم کے علوم ہیں. علوم میں ایک ہیں علوم عالی جو کہ آلہ کے طور پہ استعمال ہوتے ہیں. جیسے دیکھیں آلہ ہمارا اردو میں ہم آلہ کہتے ہیں کسی بھی انسٹرومنٹ کو جس کے بنانے کا مقصد یہ ہوتا ہے کہ اس کی مدد سے ہم کوئی اور کام کر سکیں، جو ہمیں کسی اور کام میں مدد دے سکے. آلہ سے مراد یہ ہے. تو علوم بھی دو قسم کے ہیں، ایک علوم غائی ہیں اور ایک علوم عالی ہیں. علوم عالی وہ علوم ہیں جن کی مدد سے ہم دوسرے علوم سمجھ سکتے ہیں. جیسے علم ریاضی ہے، علم ریاضی کے ذریعے ہم دوسرے علوم سمجھ سکتے ہیں، سیکھ سکتے ہیں. علم ریاضی سیکھنے کا مقصد یہ نہیں ہوتا کہ ہم ریاضی ہی سیکھیں فقط اور اس کو کہیں اور اپلائی نہ کریں. نہیں. جس طرح ہم علم عقائد سیکھتے ہیں تو علم عقائد سیکھنے کا مطلب یہ ہے کہ ہم علم عقائد ہی سیکھیں. اس لیے ہم علم عقائد سیکھتے ہیں. قرآن کے علوم بھی اسی لیے سیکھتے ہیں کیونکہ وہ تاکہ قرآن کو ہی سمجھ سکیں. اس لیے قرآن غائی علوم غائی میں سے ہے. غایت یہی علم پڑھنے کا ہے. قرآن کیوں سیکھتے ہیں؟ تاکہ ہم قرآن کے احکامات جان سکیں، قرآن میں جو تعلیمات ہیں اس کو جان سکیں. فقہ احکام اس لیے پڑھتے ہیں تاکہ ہم احکامات کو جان سکیں. ٹھیک ہے. تو رول بیس کا مطلب کیا ہے؟ کہ رول بیس کا مطلب ہے کہ یہ قانون، یہ وہ آلہ ہے جس میں قانون ہے. قانون کیا ہوتا ہے؟ مثلا قانون ہر وہ چیز ہے جس کا اطلاق ایک سے زیادہ چیز پہ ہوتا ہو، وہ قانون ہے. اگر اس کا اطلاق صرف ایک چیز پہ ہوتا ہو تو وہ قانون نہیں ہو سکتا. مثال کے طور پہ اگر جو بھی ریڈ لائٹ کو کراس کرے گا، یہ قانون ہے، جو بھی ریڈ لائٹ کو کراس کرے گا اس کو ٹکٹ دیا جائے گا. ٹھیک ہے. تو اس میں صرف یہ ایکس وائی زی کے لیے نہیں ہے، اس میں جو بھی اس کو کراس کرے گا اس کے لیے ہے. تو اس کا مطلب یہ ایک ایسا رول ہے، ایک ایسا قانون ہے جس کا اطلاق ایک سے زیادہ چیزوں پہ، ایک سے زیادہ موارد پہ ہوتا ہے. ٹھیک ہے. تو یہ ہے قانون. اگر ایک شے پہ صرف اس کا اطلاق ہوتا ہو، جیسے مثلا اگر زید روڈ کراس کرے تو اس کو ٹکٹ ملے گا، تو اس کا منطق سے کوئی لینا دینا نہیں ہے. کیونکہ منطق کی تعریف ہم نے کیا کی کہ وہ آلۂ قانونیہ ہے، رول بیسڈ انسٹرومنٹ ہے. آلۂ قانونیہ ہے یعنی ایک ایسا علم ہے جو کہ عالی علم ہے، جس کو پڑھنے سمجھنے کا مقصد یہ ہے تاکہ ہم دوسرے علوم سیکھ سکیں، نہ کہ ہم صرف منطق سیکھیں اور آرام سے بیٹھ جائیں. اور قانونیہ کا مطلب کیا ہے کہ اس کا اطلاق، اس کو ہم اپلائی کر سکتے ہیں ایک سے زیادہ سچویشنز میں، اور ایسے ہی رولنگز ہم منطق میں پڑھیں گے. واضح انشاءاللہ؟
جی بہت بہت شکریہ، بہت کلیئر ہو گیا. تو اس کا مطلب یہ کلی ہے؟
جی کلی ہے. احسنت.
جی شکریہ بہت
جزئی
بہت.
نہیں ہے. Alright. Then we said, inshallah, I'll switch to English and Urdu both. Then we said the application of which keeps the mind from making the mistake in reasoning. So this is very important, that the application of which keeps the mind from making the mistake in reasoning. So the application of these rules, if that means that if you do not apply the rules, then it will not keep you from making the mistakes. The application of which keeps the mind from making the mistake in reasoning. So mantiq is a discipline which is a rule-based instrument in which we study some rules. When those rules are applied, it keeps your mind from making mistake in reasoning. وہ اعلی قانونیہ ہے جس کی قوانین کو جب آپ اپلائی کرتے ہیں اور یا اس کی مراعات کرتے ہیں یا اپلائی کرتے ہیں تو آپ کی فکر جو ہے وہ اس سے سوچنے میں غلطی نہیں ہوتی. وہ آپ کو غلطی کرنے سے، آپ کی سوچ اور فکر میں جو غلطی ہے اس سے آپ کو غلطی کرنے سے دور رکھتا ہے. یہ منطق کی ڈیفینیشن ہے. لیکن اس میں سب سے اہم چیز کیا ہے، اور وہ یہ ہے کہ application of which keeps the mind from making the mistake in reasoning. کہ اگر آپ کو قوانین کا پتہ ہے لیکن آپ ان قوانین کو اپلائی نہیں کرتے، آپ ان قوانین کو آپ نے پڑھا ہے لیکن اس کا اپلائی اپنی جو ہے وہ زندگی میں اور دوسرے علوم میں نہیں کرتے، تو اس کا آپ کو فائدہ نہیں ہوگا. صرف ان قوانین کو جاننا یا اس علم کو جاننا آپ کو فکر میں غلطی کرنے سے نہیں روکتا. ضروری ہے کہ آپ ان قوانین کو سمجھیں اور پھر اس پہ ملکہ حاصل کریں، اور آپ کو زبانی یاد ہو کس طرح آپ نے ان قوانین کا استعمال کرنا ہے، تاکہ سوچتے وقت، سمجھتے وقت آپ غلطی نہ کریں اور صحیح ریزننگ کے تھرو آپ صحیح نتیجے پہ پہنچیں. یہ ہے منطق. لیکن جب آپ غلطی کرتے ہیں تو کیا ہوتا ہے، کبھی کبھار آپ کا نتیجہ تو ٹھیک ہوتا ہے لیکن سوچنے میں آپ غلطی کرتے ہیں، اور کبھی کبھار آپ غلط طریقے سے سوچتے ہیں اور غلط نتیجے پہ پہنچتے ہیں. مثال کے طور پہ ایک مثال دیتا ہوں اور بات کو آگے بڑھاتے ہیں. اگر یہ کہا جائے کہ امام علی امام اس لیے ہیں کیونکہ ان کی شادی حضرت فاطمہ الزہرا سلام اللہ علیہا سے ہوئی، تو کیا پہلے امام ہمارے اس لیے ہیں کیونکہ ان کی شادی سیدہ فاطمہ الزہرا سلام اللہ علیہا سے ہوئی؟ یہاں پہ دیکھیں نتیجہ کیا ہے کہ امام علی ہمارے پہلے امام ہیں. نتیجہ بالکل ٹھیک ہے، امام علی ہمارے پہلے امام ہیں. اس استدلال کا نتیجہ بالکل ٹھیک ہے، لیکن جو استدلال کیا گیا ہے فار ایگزامپل وہ ٹھیک نہیں ہے. یہ فضیلت ضرور ہے لیکن یہ وجہ نہیں ہے امام کے امام ہونے کی. امام کے امام، ہمارے امام ہونے کی وجہ یہ ہے کہ اللہ نے انہیں منتخب کیا ہے. क्योंकि इमाम का इंतखाब अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला करते हैं, ये हमारा अकीदा है। तो कभी तो हम गलत नतीजे पे पहुंचते हैं, जैसे कि बहुत सारे लोग जो है वो साइंस पढ़ते हैं और फिर गलत नतीजे पे पहुंचते हैं और कहते हैं कि कोई खुदा नहीं है। उनका नतीजा ही गलत है, उन्होंने गलत तरीके से इन रूल्स को अप्लाई किया। The second thing that we will discuss today is the subject matter of logic. The subject matter of logic is definition and reasoning. Definition and reasoning. These are the two subject matters of logic. So that means that all of the topics in logic will go back, will return to either definition or to reasoning. By reasoning, we mean definition is we would learn how to define things. What is the way to define things? Number one. And number two, how to reason, how to do the reasoning. And there are two ways of reasoning. Number one is deductive and second is inductive. Inductive reasoning is going from specific to general. Deductive is going from general to specific. So I'll give you an example so that it's clear. Inshallah, we'll study it later, but just to give you an idea, inductive is, for example, when we say specific to general, we go and we had boiled water in a kettle or in a pot, and we came to the conclusion that this water is boiled at 100 degrees C. Then we boiled the second water in a second kettle or a pot. Again, we came to know that this water is boiled at 100 degrees C. Like this, we boiled 5-6 pots put water in pots, and we boiled all of them, and then we came to a conclusion: a water is boiled at 100 degrees C. So from specific, we came to a general conclusion. And deductive is that from general, we came to a specific conclusion. For example, if we say, all men are mortal. All men are mortal. Zaid is mortal. Zaid is a man, Zaid is a man. So Zaid is mortal. Okay. So our propositions were what? All men are mortal. All men are mortal is a general statement or no? General proposition or no? And from general statement, we came to a specific, and that is Zaid is mortal. All right. So this is called deductive. So I'll explain it in Urdu also. मंतिक में हमारा मौजू है तारीफ, मुअर्रिफ और हुज्जा दलील। मंतिक में हम ये सीखते हैं कि कैसे तारीफ करनी है और कैसे आपने दलाइल पेश करने हैं। और दलाइल पेश करने के दो तरीके हैं, एक है डिडक्टिव और एक है इंडक्टिव। इंडक्टिव ये है कि आप खसूसियात और जुज़ियात में से कुल्लियात की तरफ जाएं, और डिडक्टिव है कि आप कुल्लियात में से जुज़ियात की तरफ जाएं। ठीक है। जैसे इंडक्टिव में हमने मिसाल दी कि हम अगर कहें कि ये पानी 100 डिग्री सी पे 100 डिग्री सी पे मिसाल के तौर पे गर्म हो गया, दूसरा पानी भी इसी तरह हमने देखा कि वो 100 डिग्री सी पे हो गया, तीसरा भी हो गया, चौथा भी हो गया, तो हमने कंक्लूजन निकाला और जनरल स्टेटमेंट निकाली कि पानी 100 डिग्री सी पे गर्म हो जाता है। डिडक्टिव में हम स्पेसिफिक, जनरल टू स्पेसिफिक होते हैं। मसलन अगर हम कहें कि तमाम इंसानों को मौत आनी है और जैद एक इंसान है, जैद को मौत आनी है। अब जैद एक जुज़ई अमर है, एक जुज़ई जुमला है, इसका इतलाक सिर्फ जैद पर होता है, और ये जैद वाला जुमले के जो नतीजा है हमारा, वो कुल्ली जुमला से आया है, और वो क्या है कि तमाम इंसानों को मौत आनी है। इसको डिडक्टिव रीजनिंग कहते हैं। और फिर हम बढ़ते हैं अब ऑब्जेक्टिव की तरफ। The objective of logic is keeping the mind from making mistake. So this is something that is very important, because every day, every second, we are thinking about something, we are using our mind, whether we study mantiq, whether we study chemistry, whether we study physics, or study Quran, whether we are talking to someone, we are going to market, whether we are, in a gathering or in a meeting, every time we are using our mind. And we have to come to the right conclusions. How can we come to the right conclusions? If we use correctly the disciplines or the rulings of mantiq, inshallah. And mantiq is called foundation of all disciplines. Why is called foundation of disciplines? All disciplines, because rules for correct reasoning of all disciplines. It has the rulings for correct reasoning of all the disciplines. All of the disciplines. Any discipline is concerned with mantiq. Mantiq is concerned with all of them because it has the rules to have correct thinking of any discipline in this world. That's why it's called foundation of all disciplines, or the Khadimul Ulum in Arabic we say. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.